Welcome to the WDSU Hot Seat, and tonight we're talking about how the city of New Orleans and Jefferson Parish stood up during Tropical Storm Cindy. We're joined in studio today by New Orleans City Councilman Jason Williams and Jefferson Parish Councilman Chris Roberts. Let's start with Jefferson Parish. There was flooding in a lot of parts down there, especially in Lower Lafitte where I was yesterday. What are you guys doing to try and prevent and get these communities back out of this flood situation? Well,
it's a very unfortunate situation because over the last decade we've had a number of storms that have pushed water into these homes and to these communities. One of the things is that we've tried to get as many of the homes down in that area elevated as we can. We've encouraged people to apply for the grants, go through that process so that they could get those properties off the ground and elevated. Now what we're working on is the ring levees, which is part of a master plan that Mayor Tim Kerner, Councilman Templet, and others have been working with the state and also the federal officials on getting funded, designed, and completed so that we can prevent water from going into these structures even during the smallest events like a tropical storm.
I want to get back to that master plan in a second, but over in New Orleans, you guys didn't see as much flooding as some of the other parishes did. Pumping stations, I'm assuming, really working.
The plan worked. We have a lot more redundancy in our sewage system than we've ever had before. We prayed for the best, but we were prepared for the worst. And as my mother says, prayers are answered, and it was answered with regard to Cindy.
And now, how do you guys work together when we have a tropical storm, even a hurricane with the possibility of that season right now? Do you guys coordinate and work together and talk about what works and what doesn't?
Well, I tell you, we learned a lot of lessons from Hurricane Katrina. And I can tell you, when we very recently had the storm in New Orleans East, a tornado that caused a whole lot of very quick damage, we had folks from all over the state, all different law enforcement agencies, emergency first responders who were there as fast as I was able to get there from downtown. So you can rest assured that just like storms don't know boundaries, first responders don't know boundaries when the people of the state are in trouble.
And I mean, you mentioned first responders. How crucial is it to have people staffed 24/7 when we are expecting some kind of storm coming through?
Well, it's very important because you don't know what type of challenges you're going to be faced with. Anything from medical services that may be needed. You have expecting mothers that go into labor. You've got people that need to have gas put in generators in order to keep medical equipment running. When you have an evacuation with a nursing home or assisted living communities, we've got to work with our fire departments. We've got to work with the police, our EMTs to make sure that we get those folks evacuated. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And just like Jason mentioned a moment ago, I don't want to say that we're prepared for absolutely every scenario, but we've been tested a number of times over the last decade now, and from each event you learn a little bit more and you change your plan and tweak it to where those needs may be. You know, one other point I want to make is when you were talking about the tornadoes that they had in New Orleans East, it's just like the floods that happened in Baton Rouge this time last summer. We were the beneficiary of so much help in 2005 following Hurricane Katrina. The people in New Orleans and the people in Jefferson Parish and our region have never forgotten that. So anytime that we've been able to give back, we have. Mayor Tim Kerner and I traveled to Oklahoma after they had the tornadoes there. So we do our best within the state and also in other places to try and return those services that are so important to help people get back on their feet.
And when you talk about the people, I mean, how resilient are the people in your communities when something like this happens? I know I was out, in different areas the other day, and people just say, you know what, we're dealing with it, and we're thankful for the help that you guys provide them.
No other place in this country is going to have a citizenry that's more prepared for a bad weather event, because we know just how quickly the tide can turn and you can find yourself in a very bad situation. We know, everyone knows what the steps they need to take before that event comes, and they follow that plan to a T.
And now when you talk about planning, I know there is a plan in the works in Jefferson Parish to create what are called ring levees around some of these, I guess you could call islands down in Lower Jefferson Parish. What does that plan consist of?
Well, it would consist of an earthen levee that is going to hold back the tidal surge that comes up in Bayou Barataria. Typically, when people around the country think of homes flooding, they think of it from a rain event. We have to worry about two things. We have to worry about the rain. We also have to worry about the tidal surge. So the communities of Grand Isle, Lafitte, Crown Point, Barataria, those communities particularly see the water come up from the Gulf of Mexico. It gets pushed up into Bayou Barataria. As the wind continues to come out the south, it builds up, it runs up against our hurricane protection levee system, which then pushes the water back on them again. So we are with the plans that are in place now and the construction that's even underway in some places, are planning to have levees, ring levees around those communities so that water would not get into those areas. The areas that we sandbagged and put rock bags in over the course of the last week would have a permanent levee protection system so that these small storms that we have here and even hurricanes, we'd be able to hold the water back.
I know I'm sure no one would argue with a ring levee protection system like that, but has there been a cost that's been talked about?
You know, it changes, because one of the things you have to keep in mind is that all of that land has to be acquired. So some of these levees are going to be constructed on areas that are currently owned by private property owners. So to pin it down exactly, I would say you're probably looking at in between $60 to $100 million range to get it completed, and then you have to maintain it as well. But the thing that we always point out is that when you go back and look at the number of flood insurance claims that have continued to occur year after year after year, which essentially is funded by the federal flood insurance program, it would have been cheaper to build these levees 10 or 15 years ago than it is to continue to pay out these flood claims. And that's the argument that we've made. That's the argument that Mayor Kerner's continued to drive home, and that's why we're in the situation now where we're finally seeing some of this progress coming to fruition. And
over in New Orleans, obviously you guys didn't see as much flooding, severe flooding from Tropical Storm Cindy, but it's no stranger to you guys in your area.
Not at all. I've been working as the chair of the Utilities Committee with Councilmember Ramsey, Nadine Ramsey. She's the chair of Public Works. We have our pumping system working in a way that it has not worked in a number of years in the city. There's a good amount of redundancy to make sure that if something does go down, there's something that can immediately kick in to keep it out. And we also have our private citizens doing their part, cleaning those catch basins during dry days or when they hear that a storm is coming, to make sure the pumping systems can work properly.
How important is it when you do put out those advisories, please be cleaning your catch basins and things of that nature, that people actually comply? Is that maybe an afterthought for some people when it shouldn't be?
I think now it's gotten to the point where people really, they understand the importance of it. Our drainage system in Jefferson, we can pump 1 inch in the first hour and ½ inch every hour after that. So you still do get ponding. We had ponding occur Saturday when we had very heavy rains, where during a short period of time you get a torrential downpour and the water's going to pond in the street. It's so important to keep the catch basins clear, because if the water's not, it's just like your bathtub. If your bathtub drain gets clogged, the water's going to go out a lot slower. Same goes with the street. So we want to make sure that we encourage and we continue to remind residents that it's important to do that.
And now in Jefferson Parish, I know the pumping stations were manned 24/7 while Cindy was coming through. How important is it to have that in place when we do have a weather event like that?
Well, it's very important. Oftentimes during the summer, we may see where we get a bad thunderstorm on the East Bank, and we've got roads that have water on them, and on the West Bank, the sun's out. So, we're hit or miss with weather when you live so close to the Gulf like we do. So we don't take any chances when we know that there's a risk of severe weather being in the area. No one has a crystal ball to say, you know what, we need to make sure we have somebody at this pump station or that pump station. We just make a decision to man them all, and until the threat's over. And it's something that it's important to the homeowners, it's important to the residents and the business owners too, because we can't take a chance of not knowing when an event may strike a certain place.
Now in New Orleans, if the flooding is getting so severe, it's expected to hit the city pretty hard. Is that something that's also considered 24/7 manning?
Absolutely. I mean, we want to do everything we can. The system's not perfect. Let me be clear. There's still going to be pooling, as Chris described, but to the extent that we can prevent loss of life or damage to property, we're going to do that, and we're going to take every precaution that's humanly possible. But we also want our citizens to take those same precautions. If you see standing water, don't try to get through it. And those are the things we sort of talked about prior to the storm, to make sure that no one puts themselves in peril unnecessarily. I mean, Chicken Little was right in 2005. So the people in this area realize it's not going to hurt you. You're not going to regret being over-prepared.
You know, you said something important. You know, the system's not perfect, but how has the system changed, especially since going back to Katrina? What's changed since then to try and better protect people here?
Well, in Jefferson in particular, we put safe houses at our major pump stations because, keep in mind, in a perfect world, we would be able to operate all of these pump stations remotely, where in today's time, just like the air conditioner on your home, you can click it on or off. The difference is there's trash, there's debris in canals, there's other things that block the pumps, and if the pump grates get blocked, then the pumps burn up. So we have to have physical individuals there doing labor, removing that trash out of the way. So we've done the very best that we can to ensure that we don't have to ever take those pump operators away from those pump stations. They're rated to over 200-mile-an-hour winds. They're self-sustainable. There's food, there's water, there's cots to be able to sleep on. So if we're ever threatened by a major storm, we can keep our folks right where they need to be.
And just in terms of the levee protection, are most spots of the levee in good shape?
In Orleans Parish, we have levee protection that is unprecedented in the 300-year history of the city of New Orleans.
Same in Jefferson?
Same in Jefferson for the areas that are not in our coastal communities. The last part of our protection is to ensure that the folks in Grand Isle, Lafitte, Crown Point, and Barataria are treated the same way, and that's what we're working on so hard to bring to completion now.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys so much for joining.